What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bloom Podcast. Today we have our very first guest, and for good reason, Tyler Bishop, known for his amazing freelance work in Minnesota, then his time with the Dream Team, and now he's taking on the video production industry as a whole, across the whole country. Now he's in Miami. So he's been around this whole world doing videos. He is, believe it or not, the one who got me into video. It was a super snowy day. Brought this guy in. He shot some drone shots for me. I think I gave him $200. And ever since then, this has been my dream. So happy to have Tyler here. There's a reason he is the first guest, like I said. So Tyler, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Dude, let's go. We have a lot to cover. There's everything I've done in Minnesota and then meeting you. And it's funny you're bringing up like the $200 like drone thing, because that's how everyone starts, is like, yo, can you just, hey, I got like $50, come do this job. And that's just like what sparks every relationship and all the passion and creativity that followed that. And now I have like a booming business and you have a booming business. We're in your physical space here, which is very legit. Dude, I don't even know how to intro myself at this point. I don't know. Like, where should I start?
Probably start with like, what do you do, or like what's your main like kind of career or like thing that you do like every day, or what are you passionate about? Yeah, like very simple. Like, what do you like to do?
Okay. So I'm just super passionate about like videography and filmmaking and the whole creative space, and I'm just like crazy about trying to tell like the best story possible, and just trying to like inspire people, really, at the end of the day. Right now I'm doing a lot of work for startup companies, tech companies, creating like really compelling investor videos, creating, obviously like social content and stuff like that as well. I'm shooting for a lot of car companies right now, which is super unique and kind of like a dream come true when you think about it. There's a flying car company in Miami.
That sounds like such a Miami car company.
Exactly. It's just like this enormous drone, 2-seater, like, 4 propellers. I guess there's like 8 total because there's 2 on each wing. It's just this massive flying car that I guess is going to be like the next industry leading thing. There's insane. Like a projected, I think it was, Morgan Stanley projected that it's going to be like a $5 trillion industry by 2040. Like,
so have you seen the physical car?
I have.
How loud is it when it flies? Because we all fly drones, and I know that if I was flying a drone next to my neighbor's house, he'd be like, what the heck?
Dude, that's funny because everyone asks that. Like, that's like the number one question of like, dude, it's going to suck when all these things are in the sky and it's just so loud. It's pretty loud right now, but I've seen the renders, and we've made all these very unique like 3D animation videos of what it's gonna look like when it's complete and like flying over like the skyline of like Miami and stuff. But right now, like the actual physical product is just a shell. So picture a car without the doors, without the hood, without anything. So they're saying that they're gonna have these patented duct propeller technology that's supposed to like really dampen the noise.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see what happens. That's pretty crazy.
I mean, it's kind of like those Dyson fans. Like, they have no fans, propellers, but I wonder if there could be like a technology that way where it just makes no noise, but like it's obviously like, bringing the air in or like pushing it up, like something similar to that. Would be
that's right. Because I think they actually have blades and fans on that, but it like sucks in and then it goes up through the top. But it's like the fan is it's in its own area, kind of. It's like encapsulated in this little thing. So interesting. Yeah. That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard, flying cars.
Yeah. And just to like touch on that story real quick, I just feel like if you're aligned with your passion and you're going after what like you truly care about, God just aligns things in your life for you that like you would have only like dreamed about.
Yeah.
Like, it's not as big of a deal in the moment, but like 3 years ago, if I would have known I was working with like car companies and like flying car companies and like working with like, like the CEOs of like these big businesses, like I would have been shocked. But like, so I was living in LA for the last 2 years, and I just moved to Miami, and I got hired to shoot this car company in Vegas, and I was in Vegas, and this dude came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I see you have a camera," and he's like, "We're coming out with like the next big thing for like technology." I was at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and it's like
CES.
CES, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was there, had a camera in my hand. This guy comes up to me on the very last day as I'm walking out. I've been there for 5 days, and we spark up a conversation. He's like, you shoot videos? I'm like, yeah, of course I shoot videos. I got the camera in my hand, you know? And he's like, cool, like we need videos bad. And I was like, okay, like tell me more about your company. He's like, I have a flying car company, and it's like, I would love your help to like, I just like love to like hear your ideas on what you think we should do. And I was like, cool, where are you based out of? And he goes, Miami. And I was like, sick, I'm moving to Miami next week.
Oh, no way.
And so it's like, there's all like these nerves about leaving LA, or even like leaving Minnesota to go to LA, and then leaving LA to go to Miami. And like the cool part about it is like, once you're just doing that and you're like full-time, like creative freelance, like things are just always falling into your lap. You just got to put yourself out there. I don't even mean on Instagram, put yourself out there. I don't even post that much on Instagram these days, but like if you're carrying on a camera, or if you're running into like I even asked my dad, I was like, Dad, like you work for a corporate company here in Minneapolis. Like, have you ever worked with any companies that need video work? And like, sure enough, they're the law office that like, they do all of like their like legal work for them. Like he connected me with one person there, and now I'm like doing work for them. So just like,
That's the one, yeah.
just got to put yourself out there, guys. And you're just going to find work.
I know. I've always like, I've lived and died by that. Like I've had bad experiences and great experiences with that, where it's just like, if you have a camera and you go out and do it, if it's a $500 senior photo shoot, if it's a $200 senior photo shoot, if it's a video that's way too much work for what it's worth and you're not busy, I would take it. Because at the end of the day, like you're getting out there with a camera, you're building a portfolio, you're like, I don't know, like why were you even in CES? But like you met that person there that could lead to so many more opportunities.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, I think you have to be a little selective with what you take, but at the start, man, and as you're building and moving to new cities and stuff, just get out there with the camera.
I feel like it's kind of crazy too, because like I feel like all of us experience this, but whenever you like are working and you're holding a camera, there's a lot of people that you like are attracted to, like they come up to you and just start talking because they're like, oh, like what do you do? And like they're just interested. You know, like it's kind of, yeah, there's so many people like that. Like I feel like every time we've shot or filmed something, there's always somebody, either like one of the talent or somebody just like spark a conversation about creating content and stuff.
Even in the airport, you have like a Pelican case. People are like, what's in the case? Like everyone knows like what a Pelican case is. Like, what are you up to? And when I was in Vegas last weekend, I was so surprised by how many people were there with cameras, Pelican cases, like large amounts of gear. And a lot of them were just shooting for DJs and various people. EDC was there and stuff, but like, it's just crazy, man. Like there's a lot of people roaming around this world making a really good living with cameras.
Yeah. What were you in Vegas for?
I was in Vegas for a bachelor party.
Oh, let's go. Okay. I thought you were also shooting.
No, I was not shooting. I wish I was. But Tyler, I want to back up a little bit and kind of hone in on like when you first picked up a camera, how you kind of got into it, and kind of hearing your story. And we'll kind of go through like your Minneapolis phase. Then we'll go through kind of like your work with Charlie and the Dream Machine and everything that happened in LA, and then obviously to now. So
yeah.
So tell me about, when did you pick up this first camera? When did you realize that you could make a living with it? I know you had some friends in college that were shooters and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think selfishly I picked up a camera when I was in 8th grade because I wanted to be cool. I saw these kids on YouTube doing cool stuff with GoPros, and I was like, I need a GoPro. And my grandpa was, he just loves to spoil me in that way, and he got me a GoPro for my birthday. And so 8th grade, just started making videos of me and my friends longboarding and like snowboarding. And that's where it all got started. And nothing was super good, and nothing was like, oh, this is a big passion of mine. This is something that I'd make a video like maybe 1 or 2 times a year. And then that progressed to 4 years of college, where every single year at the end of college, I had all my buddies send me all the crazy, stupid stuff we did. Like anything they captured that was a video on their iPhone,
yeah,
they sent it to me. And I was making like these 20-minute recap videos of like I made 4 in a year, or like four in a row each year. And that was just like, that was the first time I was like, dude, they were crappy videos, but they meant so much to us that we had these. And even like 4 years out of college, we were still watching them like all 4 years, just back to back to back. We just sit down for like an hour and reminisce on like all this, like the great memories and all. So that was like, I think looking back on it, the first time I was like, okay, like these videos are powerful. These videos can make you cry. Like there's something to this. Like documenting special moments in your life is a beautiful thing. It's a gift you can look back on.
Definitely. I love that. Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting too, how action sports and action cams and you say you're using a GoPro and things like that. Like it seems like in longboarding, those things always lead to like how all these people get started in video. Like I started shooting myself snowboarding and jumping on a trampoline. Devin, I think you said, was it skateboarding?
I think what I got into, I was just, I don't know. I was just doing a lot on my phone too, just doing on Windows Movie Maker, just like making fun videos of just like even stupid YouTube, like just talking head videos. It's like fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just started doing something that was like kind of more of a hobby, like you know.
Yeah, and that's really all I want it to be. And I went to college for computer science and business management, and I went straight into working in like the IT security world. Worked for Ameriprise Financial for a year. My boss left, went to Xcel Energy. So then I went, and worked at Xcel Energy for 2 years after college. So 3 years out of college, and I hadn't even like really begun my videography career.
That's crazy.
So like
that's insane.
I'm 30 years old, if in case anyone was curious. So like I waited, and I think that was all good though. I think I learned how to be a professional. I learned how to tie a tie. If you have those experiences in case you need to go back to them now. Yeah. Like I have all the fancy business attire that I never touch anymore. But a friend asked me to shoot her wedding, and that's what really kicked off everything.
That was like your first shoot.
That was my first shoot.
That's amazing.
So I got that shoot, and then I started shooting coworkers' weddings, literally in my office. Like somebody knew that I was shooting that wedding, and I started shooting more weddings. So now it's like word spreading in the Xcel Energy office that I shoot videos. So it's like,
and everyone's getting married.
And everyone's getting married. So that progressed really quickly to like what I thought was good money, which was like $1,000 to $2,000 a wedding. And
which now I feel like that would be,
you
can't even get a wedding photographer for less than like $3,500 now, I feel like.
Yeah. And then from there I met these ladies in a hotel lobby that I was shooting a wedding at, and these two girls weren't even a part of the wedding. I thought they were attendees at the wedding, and they came up to me and they're like, hey, like we love your camera, we're coming out with this book, we need help on like promoting it. And then that stemmed into me working with businesses. And then very soon after, I got a call from a guy named Rock. He has N1 Motion Gym here in Minneapolis. I don't know if you've heard of N1. And then he referred me to Torque Fitness, which led me to shooting a bunch of stuff with Torque. And then things just started to steamroll really quick from there.
Yeah. You were doing weddings, and then you start doing the like more corporate product-based videos. Did you know right then and there that like you wanted to do corporate product videos, and you were like leaving the weddings behind, or were you like, whatever pays me, I'll do it?
Whatever pays me, I'll do it. I'll still shoot weddings.
Yeah.
I like destination weddings, and I still think weddings are a beautiful thing, and I still think you can make really unique films. Like a lot of people are making these wedding videos that I think are kind of just a little recappy, but like capturing the quality audio and the sound bites, I think you can
like
tell a
story,
very unique story.
Yeah.
And I love it if I can make people cry in my videos, and that's I like to tear up when I'm editing sometimes,
That's kind of cool though, because you're telling us about your story about how like your college videos like made you emotional, but like you carry that same value in your own films and your own work, that you want to make someone feel something and feel emotion. I think that's really awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
That's also one thing about, I feel like that's a lot different than a lot of creatives. Like, I feel like, and we were talking about challenging ourselves like this more, but like you'll get hired to do a video. Like we just did that project with Devin Cook and Torque about 6 months ago or whatever. But I remember you're like, I don't just want to make another like, you know, video for their product. Like I want to do something crazy. I want to do something. So you were like thinking through and you had like a few ideas concepted and stuff like that. Like they hired you for one thing, but you wanted to kind of take it above and beyond and make it like better and think through things a little bit deeper. And I thought that was like kind of inspiring and cool because I feel like you've always kind of had that mindset. Like even when we went and filmed Jade on the wakeboard, like you had that kind of mindset going. Yeah.
I think I was, you know, what's cool about Instagram specifically is you can follow creators that are way better than you. And you can see someone do something super sick and you're like, okay, like the next time I get an opportunity to shoot something even remotely similar to that, I've already got this one flagged as like a reference. Yeah. So going into like that Delvin shoot, you know, and even coming out of the Delvin shoot and thinking about the next time I get to shoot a fitness shoot, like I have ideas of what I want to add to my portfolio. And instead of like having to go out and like create it on your own as like a spec shoot, like it's great if you get an opportunity to work with a professional athlete like Devin Cook and you can just, you know, create something that really unique that's going to build your portfolio. So whether you're getting paid well or not, I knew that was a cool opportunity to build my portfolio, put out like a very unique piece of work. Yeah. So it's like, I want to give it my all. Like, and that's kind of how I go into every single shoot. You know, that Duroni flying car company, I was like, I've never done investor videos before, but they have big budgets. Yeah. And all these tech companies have big budgets. And if I can crush this one and not only showcase that we can capture really unique visuals of a product that's being built, but also tell their story in a unique way and get all the captivating stats out there that an investor is going to want to hear about, but not in a boring way. Now I can go out and I can send that video to 50 other people that are on this investor website that's got like, you know, all these different companies that are looking for you to invest in. Yeah. And it was an opportunity for me to make a lot more leads just happen for myself. Yeah. So I spent a ton of the budget on hiring out the best people I knew in Miami to get the job done for me. And then I created the script and I edited it and I produced it, but I had people come in and help me execute. That's
huge. Because I think you could have gone about that in a manner where it was like, I'm going to just try to make as much as I possibly can on this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to just, you know, skimp on this lighting person, skimp on this. But then you end up with a product that isn't as good. You end up actually hurting their company potentially if they can't get what they need out of it. And then you end up with like nothing to show for it, you know, versus like if you went all out on that first shoot, they put a bunch of time, bunch of money, you put a bunch of time, bunch of money into it and made it amazing. And you raised them $5 billion or whatever. And then they get to make the first prototype and then all of a sudden they'll never forget you, you know, like if you truly provide value. Yeah.
I have a question. So like working on that project and being like the producer and like the editor, how important is it to have that team to help you execute your vision? Like how does that process look like for you and how is it really like beneficial to be on like a team? Like I know we were talking before, like you want to be working on like like smaller teams or like a team where you can actually execute and stuff. Yeah.
I did a smaller shoot for Duroni literally the second day I was in Miami, I was shooting for them. And it was chaotic and overwhelming, but they wouldn't have known that. I was the only person there, and that we had all these ideas, and they just wanted to execute fast. They're like, dude, we have nothing, and we need videos. Like right now, we need to start sending out emails to investors with videos in them and all this stuff. And it was just chaotic. I left so exhausted. And then, so I was almost hesitant and kind of like, I was fearful going into the next shoot. But they were like, we want to level up this time and we want to make like a proper 3-minute video, like a story piece, like not just like some 60-second stuff. And I was like, cool. So I was like, all right, this is gonna cost you more, but like I'm going to level this one up. This is gonna be like a proper commercial. Like in my head, I'm like I need this to be like better than anything I've done before, as far as just like the look, the feel, the lighting is just way more dialed. Nothing looks low budget was my goal. And I think we executed on it pretty well. It was my first time ever spending like multiple days writing a script and just like looking at all these other reference videos of like, okay, this is how this tech company did this. This is how this, a medical device did their investor video, just pulling all these references.
Like doing your research and stuff.
Doing my research.
That's so powerful.
And so I came into that shoot so prepared. Like I went back and forth with the client like 5 times on this script. Like it was a ton of work. And like, I don't recommend doing that like if there's not a budget, but like I was like, okay, like I'm still gonna make decent money on this, and I think it's worth my time because I'll be making money, and I think this is really gonna set me up for future.
That portfolio piece.
Yeah, that portfolio piece. So, but what I did not realize is I was like, okay, I think if I needed to, I could have probably gone in and executed on this, and I would have been so wrong. Like, it wasn't just the script, it was, okay, we're gonna have this guy say this line, and he's gonna walk out of the screen this way, and in the next clip, the guy's gonna walk in this way. And then on this shot, like we have like a boom mic guy, he's following someone, and the guy's like walking over, and then like another guy walks into the shot, and you start following the next guy for the next line. So very like, it was like captivating stuff more than just like, and some of that stuff worked better than I thought, and some of it like didn't work at all, but it was still fine, like how I edited it, and like just, throw in like B-roll to like cover up some of the mistakes and stuff, but it flows really nicely visually. And that entire day of shooting, I was overwhelmed with just trying to keep track of who's saying what when. And if I had to be shooting that and lighting that and focused on audio, I would have been so lost.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I realized like, okay, like if you want to level up, like the run and gun stuff can only like take you so far. But if you're trying to make like a proper story piece, like you need a team around you. Like, and it doesn't 100%. Even have to be like the most talented people, but just people that are passionate and people that, you can get the job done. So yeah. And then at the end of the day, while I was overwhelmed during the day, I had so much energy wrapping up and taking apart all the lights because it wasn't just me by myself in a room. I was like, we were talking about it and kind of laughing about how long it took to set up this shot or that shot or like get it right, or like the fact that it took 30 takes to like get one line done. And there's just something about that camaraderie where I'm like, it doesn't even matter what you're shooting. I realized I was like trying to like niche down recently, and I was like writing out what it is I want to do, like what lights me up. And I was like, I want to build a team around me. I want cool people to work with. I want to pay people well. I want people to enjoy working with me. And I could pretty much take on any job and I'd be happy. I just like having other creatives around me, and I like playing with cameras. Right. So it doesn't matter if I'm just focused on weddings or just fitness videos or just investor videos. Like, that's what I want around me. I want a team around me, and I think I'm gonna thrive. I think that's the key to success in life is not money. It's your community.
Yeah.
And it's who you're doing life with.
That's deep right there. That's good. Yeah. 100% couldn't agree more. I think like even looking back now that Devin and I are on the team and like we're together, and Caitlin's joining next week, which is going to be great. But like I basically position every shoot as a 2-person team, which is kind of crazy because now like I think of like if it was just me again and I had to go and set up lights and set up 2 cameras and man 2 cameras and direct and ask questions, like it's lonely, and then like everyone leaves and you're breaking down and it takes you way longer and you got to load up all the gear and you don't have an extra set of hands. Like the team aspect, that's what changed my life with the video world, is like having people around me for sure.
And then also like just focusing on like one or a few tasks if you're just doing a specific or your like specific position on the team. So like you said, if you were to do audio and lighting and like man the camera yourself, like that would have been super overwhelming. But then you can just kind of dial in on your own thing. But you know, and you can trust the people that you have with you to be able to execute your vision. I think that's the biggest thing. That's
huge. And you say about the energy thing, like when we went to Arizona, I was directing, and we touched on this the last podcast, but I was directing, Devin was DP, and like we left that shoot at 2 a.m. after 12-hour shoot day, long shoot day in the hot sun. And I felt moderately energized after we left. Like
we were thinking about just going to grab drinks afterwards.
Yeah, we were thinking about going to grab drinks afterwards because like we truly only focused on one thing that whole day. Like all Devin is worried about is the camera angles. He has someone building cameras for him and bringing them to him. So it's like so much better. It's just so much better. And you can do such a better job at your specific role.
That was the shoot where you guys like reached and grabbed the pizzas and stuff.
Yeah.
That looked like fun.
Yeah, no, it was super fun.
Unique shots.
That lighting crew. Well, we can get a little bit into lighting because we were talking about lighting earlier, and I wanted to bring this up. That lighting crew. There was a shot on a private plane, and I just met these lighting crew guys. They pulled up in whatever car. You know, didn't think anything of them. You know, knew they had been doing lighting for a while, and he's like, you know, it comes to me because I'm the director, and he's like, hey, dude. So with the plane shots tomorrow, like one of the shots is like we're pretending we're in the air. So do you want us to like rig up some lights and have them like go up and down so the plane looks like it's banking in the air and stuff? And I'm like, how long is that going to take to set up? He's like, well, it'll probably take us like 2-3 hours. And I'm like, we don't have enough time for that, but that is insane that you could even you could build that for me.
Yeah.
Like these, like he said, they had these like scissor mounts that would lift the lights up and like the whole plane. That's so insane. I was just like, that's crazy to think about.
Dude, I don't know a lot about, I know enough about lighting to get by, but I don't think we should even talk about lighting on this because I'm
no
not
one
the guy.
knows enough about
I'm not the guy. But if you're trying to make things look very legit, find a lighting person. They will change your life.
Lighting does make the image, the visuals like a lot better. Like I remember like just starting out, even with like photos and like just beginner video work. Like if I knew like something, like at least beginner knowledge of like lighting, all like it would have been better. But like now what I know about lighting, like it's very important as far as like the visuals go. Shout
out Spencer Clover. He is the boy. We say his name pretty much every day in the studio, but he's like our lighting guy here in Minneapolis, and he is so talented, dude. It's pretty ridiculous, actually. So
yeah,
we'll have him on the podcast soon.
Yeah, he's coming on the podcast. He's just on a movie set till like the end of the summer or something. But
no big deal. Cool.
Yeah,
good for him.
Just hanging out. So Tyler, tell me this. So now, to kind of get back on track, you're doing all this corporate work. You're starting to work for Torque. You're creating good videos, and that continues for how long?
I very quickly realized I could start making money doing this, and I had a really cool boss at XL Energy, and I told her, like, hey, I'm probably gonna quit and like just try to go full time into this. Like, I gotta see if it's gonna work, and there's no way I can manage both. I was already like, working decently long hours at XL Energy, and I'd wake up at like 5 a.m. so I could get 2 hours of editing in before I go to work, just to try to like stay on top of like some of the work I was taking on.
That's so hardcore.
And I remember having some conversations, and people were like, well, you should like wait until like you can see that the freelance business can make you as much money as the corporate world before you quit your job. And I was like, the only way I'm gonna know is if I just go all in. And I'm really thankful I did that. I saw an opportunity, and it was checking enough boxes in my head of like, I would regret not quitting my job and at least trying. So quit my job, was full-time freelance for about a year. And that's when I met Charlie, and that's when I shut down pretty much everything and went full-time with Charlie. So
that's crazy. So that was kind of around the pandemic time. Because I feel like I knew you for at least like 6 to 8 months throughout this kind of like, was it kind of like the pandemic summer when we met each other? And then you were gone.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Things move pretty fast though.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's crazy because like you had a lot of business for just like 1 year. You had like, you still send me like referrals and people you used to work with back in the day that were here and whatever. But it's crazy how many people you worked with in that 1 year.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Shout out, dude. It's really impressive. So then does Charlie call, or do you get an Instagram DM? How does that happen?
Yeah.
Or something to do with your brother, Timmy.
Yeah,
right?
it does have to do with Timmy. So a quick backstory. Charlie is, he used to manage 2 Chainz and Travis Porter and some big time rappers out of Atlanta. He used to be a videographer for Soulja Boy before that. So he grew up in Atlanta, and he is just like, he's just the Atlanta hip hop scene. He just he mastered that. He's worked with a ton of artists over the years and managed 2 Chainz, I believe, from like the age of 18 to like 30.
Really? Managing
him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So, you know, built a very successful business called Street Execs, and he was living an unhealthy lifestyle. He was just a business guru, gave it all to his business, would work crazy hours, and was just unhealthy. He was super overweight. He was like 300 pounds, diagnosed with a brain tumor on his deathbed, and was like, God, if I get out of this, I'm going to help other people get out of dark times, because it was a very dark and depressing time for him.
That's crazy.
And he, with all this stuff going on, left Atlanta, left that toxic culture. I guess it's
just work.
And I think a lot of like violence too, and like that hip hop. You know, there's, you know, people calling other people in raps and like things getting violent.
Yeah.
I won't go into stories, but some crazy stuff that he has told me has happened in his studio. So he just got it. He had to get away from all that. Moved to California, moved to like Calabasas or somewhere in LA, and decided he's going to sign up for an Ironman. It's a 300-pound man with a brain tumor, and he 10 months later completes an Ironman in New Zealand and lost 130 pounds. He was in a Nike commercial. He was on the cover of Runner's World magazine. If you look up the Colin Kaepernick Nike commercial, he's in that commercial.
That's crazy.
The Super Bowl commercial. So anyways, he kind of makes a name for himself as like, hey, I'm this motivational person. And then COVID hit. He was thinking, he's like, what am I going to do next? I'm going to be a motivational speaker. And then there's 0 jobs for him. He decides to move into a RV, brand it the Dream Machine, and just start driving around the country helping people. And very shortly after that, my brother messaged him. It was like, hey, I see you're in the Midwest. My brother makes videos. I have a podcast called Dreamology. You're all about dreams and trying to like help people and manifest things into existence and all of that. And he's like, I think we can help you, and we want to come hang out with you for a weekend. So I made one video for him. It was to get Starbucks attention, because Charlie had this mantra called winning streak, and that was kind of his mindset every day. He's like, hey, like I'm on a winning streak. Like these little things add up. Like I can keep going. And that's kind of what got him out of this dark place. And it started with him going to Starbucks and getting a cup of coffee for $2.
All that happiness for $2.11 or something?
Yeah, he's like, I'm on a winning streak. So he started going to Starbucks, and just every day he'd get his cup of coffee, and it would put him on a winning streak. And that was kind of just like his mantra. So yeah, there's so many crazy stories that came out of that, but essentially he called me and Timmy and was like, I'm by myself on this tour. And he's like, I need you guys to come help document everything. And what's crazy is Charlie thought he needed me as like the video person to document everything, but really what he needed was Timmy. Like Timmy became like his partner and the visionary, and Timmy ran the show. He produced everything. He was essentially like Charlie's right-hand man for everything moving forward. Yeah. It was funny because we were like negotiating, and Charlie's like, well, I want to hire you, Tyler. I don't really need Timmy, at first. And then it quickly switched. But I'm getting on a tangent here, but I guess what I'll say about what we did, for those that don't know, is we came up with these viral concepts where we would pull up to strangers and we ask them what their dream was. So this could be like a homeless artist on the street to a little girl that we heard about that has some rare disease that insurance isn't covering. And they would tell us what their dream was, and we would do something for them. And it would be this cute little viral moment. But what they wouldn't know is there was always an end to this viral video that we put out on TikTok, on Instagram, that'd be like, hey, so like this is actually what we're gonna do for them. Follow for part 2. So then it was like they had this cute, let's just say it's the artist, and he says, hey, I want to see my paintings on a wall again. I just want to see I just want someone to look at my work and appreciate it again. And we take him to an art shop, we get him some art supplies, we buy him some clothes, and we bring him back to our house in Hollywood Hills, and we're, and he's painting, and we hang it up on our wall, right? And that's a moment for him. And then it's like, what he didn't know is we were planning an art show for him, a red carpet art show in Beverly Hills. We're trying to get celebrities and all these people to show up. Well, that happened. And now he is like this almost like famous person in LA. We were walking down the streets and the story went so viral that people would be like, "You're Richard." So he goes from homeless to like having this massive like thing happen for him. And then from there, we launched a website for him. And the story was going so viral at that point. And I think at his art show, we auctioned off one of his pieces of art for $25,000.
That's insane.
And then when we launched his website for him, the story was so viral that when we started selling his prints online, he sold thousands of prints. And these were at like $40 a print. So like you do the math, like I think he made like $300,000 in a week.
Oh my God.
Just from like, so we just learned how to create these viral moments through asking people, what's your dream? Getting people emotional, capturing the tears, capturing the pain, and then capturing the tears on the other side, the happiness, the joy. And we got really good at like pulling at people's heartstrings and drawing people into a story. And it was essentially like a TikTok docu-series, these 60-second series. We'd post about one dream like 10 different times, and you'd see the progression. And then we'd find another big dream, and we'd do it all again. But it was like this formula that we found that worked. And we went from like 16,000 followers to like 7 million followers in like a year.
Wow.
And raised millions and millions. I mean, I remember going and seeing you guys raise, getting donations for like 500,000 sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like insane.
We had like a partnership with Nerf. We had like some very successful business owners like donate big money.
And it's all storytelling. Like it's all storytelling. And with the stories that you guys were telling, it was such a full story because there was like this dark time, like you're homeless on the street, you have a terminal illness, and then like you show like from that all the way to the very high and like this climax of like everyone's crying and everyone's happy. And I think that including that struggle in the story is one of the most like impactful, powerful things that every movie has. Yeah,
it was so cool. We did everything from getting a kid with Down syndrome signed as a professional wrestler to, a little girl with a terminal illness or with an illness that wasn't covered by insurance. And we got her own bakery, and she ended up making like $500,000.
That's insane. Like, and they just keep all that. You guys are just giving, philanthropy to the max.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yep.
Wow.
But I would like to preface that by saying like, I went through the struggle that every videographer goes through of the first 6 months of working with Charlie. I was like, what are we doing? Like we didn't have a clear vision for the content. We didn't have a game plan. We were just trying so many things and nothing was working. I worked for Charlie for like a good 6 months, and we were creating some cool stuff, some just like very mediocre work. It's like I had to do a lot of growing, and like nothing went viral for at least 8 months of working with Charlie before we got like our big break and figured out what worked. So there was a lot of like, why did I leave Minnesota for this? And this is a very unique adventure. And I know I'm working with like a very successful dude who's going places, and we're getting to meet some celebrities here and there. So there's like some cool experiences, but I'm like, dang, like we're just on the road. We're living out of an RV for like 8 months. And like, I did not feel like I was providing any value. And I was like, just super like, I was kind of like lost. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know what my purpose is here.
Yeah.
So like, and that's like a struggle I think a lot of people go through, like to get vision for like how to craft whatever story it is you're trying to tell.
And that's kind of a recipe for burnout too.
Oh yeah.
We talk about burnout a lot. Like that is a recipe for burnout.
But I'm thankful I stuck it out, right? Like at the end of the day, I got to see what happens after experimenting for so many months and seeing something pay off at the end of the day. If we wouldn't have tried all those things and failed so many times, we would have never actually figured out what worked. So that was a super unique experience. It was all gas, no brakes for about 3 years working for Charlie. I experienced all sorts of burnout. We're trying to grow a foundation. We're trying to build businesses for all these people that we meet. We're trying to put out content, tell stories around it. We're trying to craft events and throw like really legit events, like everything takes so much of your time and energy to produce up all these moments.
Was it just you three doing all that, or you had more people on the team after things started to pick
there's
up?
kind of like the starting five, we like to call them, because we like refer to like a lot of our like business in terms of like basketball play, like basketball terminology. So we had the starting five: me, Perry, Langford, my brother Timmy, and Charlie. So the five of us were really like the OGs, and then it did grow to about a team of 12. So then we had like producers, and we had
the house in the hills, and
we had an office in Hollywood Hills that we lived and worked out of. So it was just like 12 people in this house, just constantly like churning out work and strategizing. And we had our CFO, and we had a finance team, and we started it like.
But even with all that, like there's obviously struggle associated with that. Like you don't know what you're doing. There's a period of time where you're feeling maybe a little burned out. But I feel like you have to today, and correct me if I'm wrong, but look back at that and think, wow, that's an experience that not a lot of people have gotten.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get goosebumps when I look back and like watch our videos, because you're so in the moment that like the first time we gave away a car, I was shaking. I was so nervous. I was like, this is such a big moment.
Yeah.
And you start to do so many big moments for people that you almost forget. You almost like forget the mission. You're so focused on, okay, like I know as soon as we're done with this, I should turn around a video before I go to bed tonight. And it started to be a lot about just like getting stuff done.
Yeah.
And I got pretty burnt out, but now looking back on it, I'll watch our videos and I'll be like so stoked. I'll be like, dude, I can't believe that happened. Like, let's go. So I definitely look back with like a lot of appreciation for the fact that I got to live out some of those dream come true moments and have, just some really, really feel good moments.
Making like impact and having influence on those people's lives too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Interesting. Yeah. And that went on for, you said 3 years?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Cool. And real quick before we move on, the 3 to 5, just name some of the most insane people that you got to meet throughout that journey. I know you had met some like pretty crazy people.
Yeah. We did a music dream with, and we got to go into a recording studio with Aloe Black. So he's the dude that sings like, I need $1, $1.
Yeah.
And like Wake Me Up When It's All Over. Like him and Avicii, like he wrote that song. That's his voice in the Avicii song, Wake Me Up. It was like, so that was cool. That was really cool to meet him. He's a very genuine dude. Dude, I'm trying to.
Steve Harvey, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was Steve Harvey or Oprah.
Oprah bought a painting from the homeless artist.
Okay. Wow.
Will Smith was reposting like that work. Oprah surprised Charlie and Richard while they were live on Entertainment Tonight.
Oh my God.
So that was cool. Whoopi Goldberg and Steve Harvey, we were pitching to them a TV show concept for this. Just like it would have become like a reality TV show of like, hey, we're living out of this RV, we make dreams come true. Like we would have been characters in like in a reality TV show.
That would have been great.
So we were on like an hour-long Zoom call with Steve Harvey and Whoopi Goldberg, which was pretty nuts.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Mike Tyson, we did a dream with him. Yeah.
That's crazy though.
There was like, a lot of like random celebrities that would get involved to help out. So
it's crazy. Like we did a dream with Mike Tyson, and if I just saw Mike Tyson, I would be like, oh my God, that's freaking Mike Tyson. That's just crazy. Yeah. That's cool that you were like, kind of not only just meeting these people, but kind of working alongside them, which is cool.
Yeah. I mean, people just like that's just like the way to like, we found, it was kind of like the secret recipe to like get around celebrities of like, yo, you're changing people's lives. Like, sure. Like I'm in for it. Like, why not? Like, I'll repost this. Or I think one of the Kardashians reposted one of our videos one time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you're just like, I can't believe that's happening.
Yeah.
But that was just to kind of like maybe tie a bow on that experience. One of my favorite pieces of work that I ever got to create for this, the entire time wasn't these TikToks. It's these longer form videos that I was making. I was making these 3-minute story pieces for like when we went to Kentucky and helped out with all the tornado victims. Kentucky just got destroyed, Mayfield, Kentucky, a few years ago, if you remember that. I made just like a very like sad, like 2-minute video, but I'm like really proud of that. And then I made about a 4 or 5 minute kind of hero piece video of what our foundation is, what we do, the story of Charlie, how it became what it is today, like so many unique layers. And that video, it kind of like wraps it up in a bow of everything that I got to do. It's on my website.
Is that the one with the bus and stuff?
Yeah, driving. I mean, it's a.
I swear it was like picking up people with the bus. Maybe that was like a we're heading.
That's what it is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yep. Cool. And that video became the video that was used to try to sell a TV show idea. And that's the video that Steve Harvey was going into meetings with, or his team. I don't think it was Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey's team was going into these meetings and like, hey, watch this video. Like, we think this could be a TV show concept.
And what blows my mind, and I was telling Devin this yesterday, you shot all that on a A7 III.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, I remember when I first got my A7S III, I was like, I can't shoot anything on this A7 III. I can never create it. And I never went back. But like, you've been able to pushed your A7 III, I think, further than anyone else I know.
Yeah.
I was just telling Chase, I was like, it's the camera's the tool, but the actual like creative is like you. And like the person behind like the story and like the creative process is like you. So sometimes it does matter about gear and stuff, but mainly like you're able to like craft those stories because you had the vision or you had the ideas, you know?
Yeah. And it's just crazy that there's probably a mix of 1080 clips and 4K clips because you couldn't do 60p and
that entire tour was shot in 1080.
That's crazy.
And not in like any flat, just like picture profile off. Because it was just quick turnaround. So I wasn't color grading. I wasn't doing anything. I was just.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously your time with Dream Team comes to an end. Were you flat footed? Are you looking for the next thing to do? Or do you kind of already know you want to move to Miami? Had you met, is it Kayla? Caitlin. Had you met Caitlin?
I had met Caitlin. I met Caitlin right after the tornado dream was over and we were in Kentucky and we went to Miami. And she's a graphic designer and does a lot of creative work. She does creative direction for music tours to branding and logo design.
She's a model too, or at least I saw her in some model stuff.
She does a lot of modeling. Yeah. All that's like kind of like free for fun stuff, but she's obsessed with like the fashion world and really wants to like break into that world as well when it comes to like design. So and she loves that.
I know that a prospective client of ours, Nautical Bowls, went to Miami and they made some like content, and then I just like randomly saw her.
Yeah, she was
modeling for Nautical Bowls, and I was like, "What the heck?"
That we got the hookup. We got like 20 free bowls from that shoot. So
dude, and they're good.
Yeah, we go there all the time. There's one in Miami. So
yeah, it's really good. That's crazy. It was started here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Cool. So then you end up going with Caitlin in Miami. All that stuff happens, and now that kind of puts us to where we are today a little bit. When did you move to Miami? Like 6 months ago?
Like 3 months ago.
3 months ago, yeah. Dang.
So I left Charlie's team. I think one of the reasons I left Charlie's team was honestly because I started dating Caitlin, and I realized, okay, like what's truly important to me for like the first time I started asking myself those questions, you know? And the amount of work I was doing for that team was absurd. It was 7 days a week. I mean, we felt guilty taking a day off. Yeah. And so a combination of that, me wanting to have more free time to like just explore, because like keep in mind, like I got to do all these cool things with Charlie, but I only got to be a freelance for like videographer for a year. I have no idea what I want to do in this creative world. Yeah. I don't know if
you're still lost even though you're 4 years in.
I don't know like if I want to try to get into like short films and documentaries. I don't know if I want to try to get into more just like shooting like strictly fitness content. I don't know if I want to get into like building an agency. Like I know nothing. Like I had a lot of cravings to just leave the team because I didn't want to run a foundation. That's not my dream. You know, I needed to go out and start experimenting and figuring out what it is I want to build, what it is I want to do, what are the things that like I'm passionate about in this creative space. Because a lot of working for Charlie was just making a lot of TikToks and just like consistently pushing out content fast. And I was just getting a little creatively burnt out from that and our specific formulas that we were following. So I was like, all right, it's time for like I came here, I did what I needed to do for this team. Now I need to go out and figure out like, who am I and what do I even want to do in this world? So, you know, Caitlin Caitlin was a factor in that. Obviously, she, I getting more free time with her, getting back that adventurous spirit I used to have of just like going out and like just exploring the world around me and not being so tied to my work is my value, my work runs my life, which I still struggle with. But it was trying to like take a step back and like really just have that come to Jesus moment of like, God, what'd you put me on this earth to do? I have all these passions in my heart. I think it's time to start following them.
Yeah.
And just kind of trusting God that he's going to lead me in the right direction moving forward.
That 100%. And also I think like just hearing your story, it's like you're 4 years into your freelance, 3.5 years into your freelance whole like just video creation world after leaving Excel, and you haven't even had a second to breathe. It feels like, it seems like you haven't really had a second to like reflect and look back. And I truly believe that is super, super powerful. Even today, like when I lay in bed, I try to just reflect on like the good things that happen throughout the day. Cause I feel like you get so caught up in this like work that you don't like smell the roses and sit down for a second and be like, wow, I've done this.
Yeah.
Which
dude, it's so
is
true.
so powerful.
Your days can go by so fast and you can forget about what you did that day. By the time dinner comes around, you're like, what did I just spend all my time on today? Like I already forget. Like
exactly.
You can't even remember the big wins because you're so like just trying to push the ball forward so aggressively, which is just kind of like the entrepreneurial like spirit in us just coming out too aggressively, I guess.
Yeah.
I left Charlie's team with this. Charlie's like, dude, go follow your dreams, man. Like I fully support it, man. Like whatever you do, just go out there and go be great. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna go be great.
Yeah.
And I just went so all in on just like trying to hustle in LA, which was the wrong move.
Oh no.
I went straight from like one just like super aggressive work mindset to another. Like now I'm just working for myself, but now I feel alone, a little isolated. And now I'm like, I need to prove to the world that leaving the Dream Machine Foundation wasn't a mistake. I was, worried I might look back with some regret if they end up landing the TV show deal with like Steve Harvey and now they got a reality TV show. But like I knew in my heart that reality TV show wasn't for me. I knew that it wouldn't have made me as happy as I wanted to be with other work that I knew would light me up. So I started hustling hard in LA and then realized that there were some things learned from the Dream Machine Foundation that I needed to unlearn as far as just like work-life balance and rediscovering like what a healthy life is and how you're defining your life and your worth. Because I think a lot of our worth came from us being able to say, yeah, we worked with this person and this person, and yeah, like that video got 500 million views and this happened and this happened, and it became such an exciting story to tell of like, but that's not like who, that doesn't define who you are. Those are just a few things you got to do.
And you get so wrapped up in that you don't look in the mirror and say, how do I feel?
Yeah.
You're so wrapped up in the views, the likes, and it's insane.
Yeah.
I've gone through phases where I get that same way. And Devin has been like a huge proponent of work-life balance. And I think last summer I didn't take a single day off that wasn't a Saturday or Sunday. And this year I've kind of been taking like half day Fridays in the summer. I'm just like,
it's mostly because like when we have like projects and stuff, it's like, it's okay to, as long as like it's communicated, but it's okay to like take time to work on these projects and not always have to be like turning around things all the time. I know that's a big factor with business models where if you turn things over fast and like the clients are happy, but yeah, I think part of it we've just kind of been balancing with like, all right, we can take our time with projects, kind of spread our schedules out a little bit more, and then also make room to like actually have a life outside of it too. And other things matter than just work, even though it's a big component of our day to day.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, and I don't want to like feel like a downer by saying that, but I think it's something that a lot of people are going to need to learn if they want to like work for themselves and manage their own time. At first you're like, oh, this is sick, I can do whatever I want when I want, but you gotta, I think like just like the key takeaway is you gotta make sure that you're taking time to do the things you want to do with your life outside of just being a creative. so, I mean, I can watch, Sam Newton and Danny Gewirtz and some of my favorite YouTubers just cranking out videos. And I'm like, oh, well, they're staying up super late every single night getting it done. And their output is insane. And you can kind of get, and then you start to see like them as like, oh, that's all their life is, which isn't true.
Yeah.
These guys
what you see on the internet too is not everything.
Yeah.
And like you start to, when you look at people you look up to or just your, like peers or other creatives, you kind of get a little bit like imposter, like, oh, they're doing all this stuff, it looks cool, but that's not sometimes you have to look back like, all right, well, maybe that's not what I want. You have to like kind of view it objectively.
You're like, oh, that's the dream lifestyle. Right. Like they're just going out and creating stuff all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like that's what you think their lifestyle is, but they're also like they're doing more with their lives outside of that to stay grounded and to stay sane,
100%.
Right.
And like, I think sometimes you can get caught in this trap of thinking like that looks like the perfect lifestyle, or trying to define like what the perfect lifestyle is in your brain. And what I've found is it just constantly gets redefined and you end up just never being happy. Again, like it's just taking a minute to just like, smell the roses. If I told myself 2 years ago I'd have 3 people, a 3-person team, and we're, crushing podcasts and doing all this stuff, I would be like, what more would I need? But now I'm here and I want like even more, it's like sometimes you just have to chill.
So dude, I'm in a place right now where I've been working for myself for a while and I want to hire that editor. I want to hire someone next to me that can come along with me on my journey and just be a massive like helping hand to me so I can start focusing on other stuff. What would you recommend to me and other people that are feeling a little burnt out working by themselves and are thinking about growing a team around them? Where do we start?
I would say hire someone that you genuinely feel is aligned with your vision. I would say hire someone that balances you out. I think like from the outside looking in, Devin and I are 2 very different people, but the balance is so good. And when I'm stressing out on set, the last thing I need is like Devin to be stressing out on set, but he's always, calm, and we balance each other in that way. And then I also think that there's a lot of like skill sets that just balance each other too. Just like,
I think too is like you find someone that you can learn from, or also who has a skill set that maybe you're not the strongest in, where if they're super passionate about that, like editing, if they're super passionate about editing, they're really good at it, but they could take that work off your plate and, but you can also like trust them. Then that's also a good person to have on your team, is like someone that you could trust creatively, but also like they're passionate about it, but you could like learn from and also like balances you out. And I think that's what like, when I messaged Chase just to like meet up and just meet him, like I told him I filmed, but I also edited. So like my strong suit's kind of editing, and like I helped him edit a project and stuff. And he was just kind of surprised like how like good or how fast I was. And then like when the opportunity came, he asked me to join the team, and I was like, I think this would be really helpful for him, because then he could start focusing more on like the business stuff or like client calls or working more on pre-production. So I think that kind of helped him. I was like, I'm on the back end editing and getting these projects turned over while he's able to focus on the front end.
Just having someone that you can trust and someone that's kind of already trained. Like Devin came in and he knew how to edit better than I could, already trained. And now we've worked together for about 8-9 months now. And it's like, I just trust him. When he finishes the project, he sends it to the client. It's crazy, but you have to kind of let go, and it's very hard, because we used to do an edit and I'd hover over your shoulder and do a bunch of like edits, and we go back and forth, and then like ultimately the client would want to switch it back to what it was anyways. Like the client's gonna have edits, and we can kind of commingle on the edits and stuff on that first round, I would say.
I think too the best thing about that, like you said, like not having to train or having someone who's already experienced is kind of really helpful, because imagine like having to have a period, like training period, and you're having to like, I know there's going to be like transitions and processes, but having to train someone to be your editor, or just rather just having someone that knows how to just do it and kill it, crush it.
When you hire someone that you have to train as an editor, you're almost adding more to your plate when you're trying to take stuff off your plate. And I think that, if you are training an editor, the only real way or real reason you would need to do that is if you were making the same thing over and over again. And I know that for me and you, that's not really the case. You know, we don't do the same video every single day. So,
but you're like, all right, so now we're grinding and hustling in LA, and then tell us about that transition of like moving to Miami, and then maybe more so like how is LA different from like Miami since you've moved and stuff?
So Caitlin and I have been we're talking about for a long time, who's going to move where? You coming to LA or am I moving to Miami? And we're kind of like, let's just kind of like sit on it, pray on it, see what God says. And I felt that God was calling me to Miami. And you know, it's intimidating because I was like, geez, like I just left the Dream Machine Foundation. I just burnt myself out trying to find a bunch of clients so I could feel stable again, you know, and I found a lot of work quickly, which I was scared wouldn't happen in LA because I'm like, every other person owns a camera. My doctor owns a A7S3. Like everyone, you know, everyone owns these cameras, even if they're not even in the industry. I'm like, how am I going to stand out? There's plenty of work, guys.
Plenty.
But it was kind of like, okay, like I think God's calling me to Miami, so let's just trust that. And then the CES thing happened like a week before I moved there. I'm getting some work already. And then I get plugged in at my church, which is VU Church in Miami. And like in a span of 2 weeks, I'm shooting like 2 of the coolest projects I've ever gotten to like work on as far as like big set, big budget. I'm on a dolly cam system, like with like the train tracks, you know, moving around this stage on a 70 to 200 with a guy pushing me as we're going around these tracks. I'm like, these are like the big boy toys I've always wanted to play with.
Right.
And then got to shoot this really unique video out in the woods the other day with like some anamorphic lenses and some reds. So it's like, I'm getting all these opportunities surprisingly through my church that's helping me like learn more about some of like when you talk about leveling up, it's like, okay, I've been shooting on Sonys for a while, but it's kind of fun now that I, you know, get to play with reds and say I've been on like a dolly system and like just like getting that exposure, right? So that's been cool. So there's been a lot of like very unique opportunities that just kind of seem to be steadily flowing in. And then there was a guy I met last year with Charlie, and he took us to a courtside Heat game. And there's some really small world stories there. He wanted to host this event for us, and it was a super unique space. And then I met my girlfriend a month later and found out my girlfriend designed that space. Really random stuff was going on. And then I saw this guy at church last week, and he's just a very, very successful business. Right. Like he has a lot of really unique connections in Miami. So now I went to his office this past week after bumping into him at church and saying like, hey, like, what's up? You remember me type of conversation? He's like, yeah, like come through the office. I actually got a bunch of work I want to run by you. I'm like, sick. Yeah. And then turns out he didn't know that my girlfriend designed that space that he showed us like a year ago, told him that very unique small world story. And he's like, dude, I've been asking who designed that space.
Oh my God.
And he's like, I've been trying to find that person because I have a music studio I want to be designed with a similar like feel and look. So like in the past week, like, you know, things are just aligning very nicely for me and for my girlfriend. And now like, I think I'm getting hired by him and he's hiring my girlfriend. Yeah. So things are just kind of like rolling. And what's funny is this time in Miami, I've probably only worked like maybe 60% of the days out of this year so far. Really? Maybe 70%.
That's amazing.
Taking a lot of time to put towards the things that I forgot that I liked. The goal is like to get back to being me again. Like I want to feel like alive. I want to feel that surge of adrenaline when I go out and do things that have nothing to do with like the videography worlds. Right. I've been going scuba diving, going for bike rides, just doing a bunch of like really unique things.
Nature person? Very big nature person?
Yeah. I just like to get out into the world. Yeah. So, and I think 70% of my 60% of my time has been like towards like the business and trying to growing it. But I've also tried to put time towards like my girlfriend's business and helping her out, and putting time towards making these videos with my church, which isn't like paid stuff, but it's just like building that community and things that, you know, I'm craving.
That's exciting, dude.
Yeah. So I think And, there's some big opportunities coming up, and I'm not aggressively trying to attack and pitch these opportunities. I'm really, like I was saying before this podcast got started, I'm trying to figure out what it is I want to do. Who do I want around me? Do I partner with my brother? Because he recently left the Dream Machine Foundation like a couple weeks ago. There's just a lot of unknowns, and I want to like have like a very grounded mindset before I go back into all gas, no brakes Tyler and just start to like aggressively pursue all this work again with a little bit more clear mindset on, okay, like these are our prices. Quit wavering on prices.
Right.
Like quit burning yourself out feeling like you're not financially where you want to be, but you're taking on work that isn't paying what you want, and everything in between. And just like, and I think having a business partner and someone who's has that accountability to, get the work done, take time off. You're not doing work for less than this. We're not going to go into business with this person because of X, Y, and Z. We're not in like, it's hard because you say these things to yourself,
right?
But then you end up doing them anyways. But having people around you and having like that culture around you and saying like, hey, these are the things we're gonna like stick to, I think is something I really need right now in my life.
Right. Yeah, it's something we're trying to figure out too. We've been asking the same questions. Honestly.
We just had a coaching meeting yesterday. We have this guy Glenn Dahl, the best ever. But we did a meeting with him, and we're trying to figure out like what the kind of next step is for us.
Like,
same thing.
It's like asking those questions so you know where you're headed and what you want to do.
Defining what the future looks like, putting out where we are in 5 years. We literally went through and built out like, where we are in 3 years, how big the team is, what we're doing in revenue, how many projects, project minimums, like built out, and we're just kind of aiming in that direction. But on the bright side, June 9th, 10th, and 11th? No, June 10th, 11th, 12th, or whatever. That weekend, we're going to be in Miami shooting for a swimwear company. We'll have to pull up and see you, dude.
Dude, come through.
We'll have to pull. We'll have to pull through.
Come over to my pool. We'll go hang out.
You got You got a nice little pool at the apartment building, or what do you got?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a big pool. Feels like if every day I go down there, it feels like I'm on vacation. I bring down my Bible, bring down a book, and just sit down there for like 20 minutes and just like read.
Done, dude. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to connect, grab drinks, grab dinner or something. But
yes,
honestly, pleasure having you on. Feel like we kind of just scratched the surface. We could have even got a little bit deeper, but that's why we have more. We're going to be doing a podcast a week here for the foreseeable future. So maybe we can have you on again.
Yeah.
And
I just want to say thank you for this, because there's not a lot of times you get to tell your story, and there's not a lot of times you get to reflect. And this is my first like podcast, and I feel like we kind of went on a lot of different random tangents, but it's good to take those moments to reflect on your story, where you've been and where you're trying to go. Yeah. And I'm just stoked that I have your number in my phone. I can call you whenever. I'm like, dude, Chase, like, I'm just struggling with like running ads for my business. Like, do you do that? And is that like worth your time? And just getting, the whole point of like meeting other creatives is you should not feel stupid in trying to pretend like you know it all. Because that's, I think, what I was scared to ask people questions that I felt like I should know. Of like, well, dude, like, how do you pitch this? How do you invoice clients? Like when I was starting out, I was scared to ask people like just very basic stuff. Like, how do you like create a vision for the project you're going into, and like a mood board and the shot listing? And like, I wasn't asking just like very simple questions that like, I think I even share with you, like, hey, this is how I do my shot listing. This is how I like pull screenshots. And it's great. And like the back and forth is like what all freelance creatives need. So like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And every time you can collaborate and jump on a set with more people, with more cameras and whatever, do it. Cause I remember that's how I learned so much. Like when we did that wakeboard shoot with Jade, I learned so much. I'd never shot in flat. I kind of knew like camera settings and stuff, but you guys taught me like the 180 rule and like all this basic fundamental stuff. Yeah. Just because I was there and I was with people that knew. Yeah. And like that's another thing too of like, okay, we didn't even get the shutter, aperture, ISO, like I don't know what I'm doing. Like when you're first starting out, it's like, just get people to show you. Like you don't have to be shy about it. I think I was scared if I made it seem like I didn't know what I was doing, that then these creatives around me wouldn't pull me into work. But the only thing that people care about is like, if you have a passion to learn and they can see potential in you, they'll hire you because they want you to grow and be an asset to them. We're all just like assets to each other at the end of the day. If you have a big shoot in Miami coming up, who you're going to call?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be me. If I have stuff happening
100%.
in Minnesota and I need a second shooter, like at the Dalvin Cook stuff, like, dude, I'm so thankful that like I have you now. Like
That shoot almost got rescheduled in Miami, and you were the first person that came to mind.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just send Devin down there and Tyler, and they could do it.
Yeah.
They could do it. But tell the people where they can follow you, social media.
Yeah.
What do you got going on? Any new things coming out?
Yeah. So my name is Tyler Bishop. So you can find my website, tylerbishopstudios.com. You can follow me on Instagram at tybish_. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
Follow us, bloom.creative, across pretty much all platforms. Subscribe to the channel, like the video if you thought it was good. But,
Let's go.
Yeah. Let's go. Podcast number 2. First guest, because again, this guy got me into the video world. So big shout out.
Yes, sir.
Big ups to the bro.
Let's go, guys.
Let's go.
Thank you.